Hey, welcome to episode 2 of Remove Film from Tray, a movie podcast. And now we're on.
Hello.
Hello, everyone.
Today we're going to talk about Puppet Master 3 and have a little discussion on Shin Ultraman. Try to avoid spoilers on that because it's less than a year old. But yeah, maybe some other stuff. We'll see. So, how's it going, gang?
You know, going pretty good.
It's going well. We watched a lot of movies. Some good, some bad. Puppet Master 3. You know.
What bad movie did we watch?
I don't know.
I think Count watched more. Like, we've all seen a lot of movies this week. Count more than us.
Yeah.
You weren't there for Twister at all, right, Slushie?
No, I wasn't. I fell asleep.
Okay.
That's a shame. Twister was really good.
Twister was
I believe
fine for, a blockbuster as that goes. So, okay, I've got here on side notes. We did see Oblivion, also from Full Moon in the interim period. Right. And just a little side note I have in the text file here is that Neil Gallagher, the guy who played Neil Gallagher, the villain from Puppet Master 1, did play a space Indian in Oblivion. So almost unrecognizable at first, but as the movie went on.
Oblivion had some cool moments to it.
It did.
I completely forgot that we watched that.
Maybe a full, if we end up doing every Full Moon movie, which could be a wrench in that plan. I guess we could talk about that now. Full Moon stuff might be leaving Tubi. I don't know.
Yeah.
I got an email. Did you guys get the email?
I don't have a Tubi account.
I don't get emails from Tubi.
I got an email.
How do you get emails from Tubi?
I don't get emails from Twitch.
I have a Tubi account, and I have a whole bunch of shit in my watch list that I don't watch because I cannot watch movies alone. And I just got an email that, like, a bunch of movies were leaving my watch list soon, which it didn't specify when.
Probably the end of the month.
Many of them were Full Moon movies.
Yeah. Like, if you go on Leaving Soon, there is a bunch of Full Moon stuff in there. Like, not all of it, but it may just not be. I don't know. My hope is that it's, like, just a little contract hiccup. Like, every Jean-Claude Van Damme movie is always leaving Tubi, and then it's always back. So.
Right.
It could just
they
be
might
something
come right
like
back.
that.
I know Scream 4 left for a few months, and now it's back. I know you guys don't give a shit about Scream, but I noticed.
I'm not crazy about it.
I know.
I've heard it's really good, and I haven't seen any of them. I didn't know there were 4.
There's 6.
I thought there were...
There's 6.
Well, that's the thing. I heard that there was a Scream 6 recently. I didn't know there were fucking 3 of them. I thought there were 2.
MDB, I believe, watched Scream 6 last night.
Yeah.
I've only seen 2, up through 2, but
I have a Ghostface mask on my wall and a Ghostface on my desk, so I'm a pretty big fan.
Wow. So
I like Matthew Lillard a lot.
Which one's Matthew Lillard?
Shaggy.
Is he in those?
He's in the first one.
He's only in the first one. Well, yeah. He makes cameos in the other ones. But it's not really it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Not even the same character.
Spoilers for Scream. He's one of the 2 fellas in the first one.
One of the 2 fellas. Just one of the two old boys.
Spoilers for Scream, there's 2 killers. Shaggy's one of them.
So,
and the other one is Corey Haim. I don't remember.
It's not
like Skeet something.
Yeah. So Puppet Master 3. We watched this last night, and pretty good.
I think
Chris has that wrong, but I guess the podcast can't see the chat, right?
MDC Chris in the chat saying the pro tag of Scream 5 and 6 is the daughters of Matthew Lillard, the killer from 1. No, that's
No,
incorrect.
it's the other guy. It's the other killer. She's the daughter of Billy, not Stu.
They should have had Stu be named Jimmy, and then people could make weird
Jimmy Stu.
alternate universe Double Dragon thing. Anyway, Puppet Master 3, I thought was the best Puppet Master movie so far. It was really fucking good.
Count, do you have any like memory of the first time you saw this?
I don't. I mean, I remember seeing it, but I don't have any locked-in memories about it. Do you?
I do. Yeah, that's why I asked to set myself up. So the first time I saw Puppet Master 3, it would have been like 01 probably. I was at a wedding and it was a real bad scene, and I had agreed beforehand I'm not going to dance. And then we get to the wedding and the story becomes, you're going to dance. You're embarrassing me and my family. So I shuffle through some dance at the reception, and then I'm like, I'm going to go back to the hotel room. And I went back to the hotel room, and Puppet Master 3 was on. And I think I turned it on like right when Six Shooter was shooting the Nazi general, like kind of right before that scene.
It's a good introduction.
And then after Puppet Master 3, they played The Abominable Dr. Phibes, which I hadn't seen before.
Oh, shit.
So that, I'm not going to say they saved my life, but it certainly got me through that particular weekend.
Was Phibes Full Moon also?
No.
No. Years before.
Yeah. Big movie from decades before.
I missed my chance to see Dr. Phibes recently, now that we're doing all these.
Yeah. Did you see the sequel, though, when I watched it?
What's the sequel called?
The Return of Dr. Phibes, or Dr. Phibes Rises Again.
I haven't seen any Dr.
Oh, shit. Well, okay.
Have you seen a lot of Vincent Price at all?
He was in The 13 Ghosts of Scooby-Doo, which I watched religiously as a child.
Was that really him, or was that like an imitator?
No, it was really him,
Okay.
like by name.
Because I know
Vincent
now they have an
Price.
imitator, and his,
We'll have to have you watch some of his live-action roles.
That's the only Vincent Price anything I've seen.
Wow.
I'm pretty sure it's him. I'm going to double check. No, it was okay.
So
13 Ghosts of Scooby-Doo never got finished, and it's a fucking crime.
No, they made that direct-to-video movie that is really bad.
well, like they found the ghosts, like they were trying to find 13 ghosts, and they only got like 9 of them, or what?
Yeah, so like Shaggy, who in this entire series wears a red shirt for some reason.
Oh, that's like
Yeah, they're
Lupin.
doing the Lupin thing.
Yeah.
Scooby, Scrappy, and then
Daphne.
a
Isn't Daphne?
is Daphne in it? No,
Why wouldn't she?
I don't
be?
think so.
She's gotta
Because it's
be.
like it's just Scooby, Shaggy, Scrappy, and then an original character who's like a Himalayan child or something.
Wait, no Velma?
No, Velma. Like
No,
I
Velma.
they may have
Watching
made
it.
cameos, but
I thought it was
it's
like when they have their relationship.
mm-mm. No, you're thinking of the.
Who has
More
a relationship? What?
There is a somewhat recent Scooby-Doo show, like maybe 2 or 3 shows ago, where Shaggy and Velma are.
No. I'm telling you.
Well, that's the
Shaggy
thing
and
is, like,
Daphne are Endgame.
I
Just
need to
look this
explain
up.
this because it's ridiculous. Shaggy and Velma are in a relationship, and Velma is like so upset that Shaggy spends so much time with Scooby that she eventually breaks up with him. And it's literally a me or the dog situation.
You
It's
gotta choose
very
the dog.
strange.
Awkward.
So yes, Shaggy chooses to date Scooby instead of Velma, essentially.
I'm looking up this what I'm talking about here. I got a
Anyway,
picture.
Puppet Master 3. You got a
We'll
picture?
get back to that.
Oh, you're talking about Mystery Incorporated. That's the one that
I'm
had.
talking about 13 Ghosts.
This file name says Gang the 13 Ghosts of Scooby-Doo 1.webp. So
Maybe I don't know.
And
I
it's
guess I just
Daphne
didn't
and
remember.
Shaggy, and they're together. And there's the little Himalayan child you were talking about.
he's wearing a cool
It's a-
pajamas and with the hood backwards.
What's his fucking name?
You just have Daphne Erasure in your head.
Well, I don't remember her doing much in that show. I think maybe she wasn't there right at the beginning. But also, it's only 13 episodes, so I can't imagine it was very long before.
How did we get on Scooby-Doo?
Because of Matthew
Scream.
Lillard being
and
in
I asked
Scream.
Robinson Price.
Oh yeah, and Vincent Price. Matthew Lillard also in The Name of the King, a dungeon siege tale, where he's like the advisor to the evil guy who is played by Ray Liotta. Very strange movie. Puppet Master 3 is about Toulon being a puppeteer in Nazi Germany. We don't get an exact year, but it's
We do.
probably in the. Do we get an exact year?
It says, it says 1941, which I think is a little late to set the movie if you know anything about
because like
World War II, but like,
well, I guess
In the
they
30s?
are talking about like early on. They talk about how they're losing a lot of soldiers on the Russian front.
yeah, like it's before. So okay, it's 41, and I looked up a timeline to double check, and at the end of 41 is when America got in the war, and I think the movie opens, kind of talking like there's a puppet show, and Toulon is running a puppet show with Hitler. He's got a little Hitler puppet doing a little dance. He's a traditional puppet with strings, and Six Shooter is, we were introduced to Six Shooter there, and he's no strings cowboy. He's just there kind of shooting at Hitler, kind of making him dance, and that's the whole bit. It's like, hey, rattlesnake, I'm gonna shoot you, and Hitler's like, no, don't shoot me.
Hitler's like pissing his pants.
Yeah, it sort of goes on for like 2
But
minutes.
it's also for an audience of children,
Yeah.
so it kind of makes sense.
Right.
But
And also, we learned in the video zone that No Strings Six Shooter there actually had like 100 wires in him, and that was super cool. I didn't know you could make puppets that way.
yeah, that was interesting. There was like 2 different people running his sets of arms with little
3 different people.
Was there 3? There's okay.
Yeah.
That
2
makes
were in the
sense.
front, and then one was like off to the side, looking
Very elaborate puppet.
over Hitler at Six Shooter.
Yeah. So, yeah, it opens in 41, and maybe Toulon is hinting at America getting into the war with this show. But the first thing that you see is a matte painting of Berlin, which was impressive. just for there to be a matte painting, and there's like some glow animation to it compared to Puppet Master 2, where the only like establishing shot was that really dusty sort of stock footage from Puppet Master 1 of the Bodega Bay. Like for there to be a matte painting is like, oh wow, right off the bat.
Right, immediately you can tell that this has a higher budget. There's multiple sets. There's multiple people. The first 2 movies have like a cast of 5 and like a little bit of extras. This has a lot of people in it.
It was like a cast of 15, maybe, if you don't count the stock footage.
Yeah. That's a lot for a Puppet Master movie so far.
It is.
It's like a cast of 20 if you include the puppets, which you should.
Yeah. And the puppeteers get up to maybe 50 at
All
that
respect
point.
to the puppeteers.
So I didn't like pull up the synopsis. I don't have a note.
Well, the
So,
synopsis is
Slushy-
basically. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
You're saying this is your favorite of the three. What about you, Mortis?
I was thinking if we ranked all the Puppet Master movies, I was thinking about getting a visual setup for that, but I didn't. I would vote for this to still be in second. I didn't like this as much as 2.
Yeah, I like 2 more.
I'm a sucker for period pieces.
Yeah.
Like, modern stuff is fine. It just doesn't interest me as much. And I know we learned from the Video Zone that they just kind of shot this on, like, a lot of the exterior stuff seemed to be pre-existing sets on the Universal backlot. But
yeah.
I think that did a lot for the movie. Just that and, like, the scale of it. I know that in some cases the acting was a little not great, mostly in terms of, like, 2, maybe 3, if you want to count the Nazi puppeteer. Maybe like 3 actors weren't quite up to snuff with everybody else who was, like, mostly very experienced film and stage actors.
Right.
But I don't know, like, I feel like they outgrew the scale of the first 2 movies. They knew that they couldn't just do it in a hotel again, it felt like.
Yeah.
So they do it across an entire city, and in reality it's like 5 locations, but to me it really felt like they were utilizing an entire city. It was crazy how large this movie felt, and, like, how impactful all the small individual things felt.
Oh yeah, it feels really massive in scale. That being said, it's really barely a horror movie.
Yeah.
That's my problem with it.
That's fair.
It's hard to call this a horror movie because, well,
Like,
I mean,
for the first
I was
time,
gonna say
you're meant to be
categorize it.
rooting for the puppets.
right. The trailer, like, was it the trailer or was it just the Video Zone where it said, like, the puppets are up against the worst monsters in history, the Nazis.
Right.
That was just Video Zone, right?
Yeah, the
video
Video
Okay.
Zone said that.
Which, like, it's hard to get the same feeling from a horror movie when everyone who gets killed is like you want them to be killed, right? But, like, you say that, I say that, but I
the
don't
only
know.
people who die in this movie who aren't Nazis are people who got killed by Nazis. So
Yeah.
it's like,
and that's
it's hard not to root for the
and
puppet.
that's not done in, like, a horror movie way. But, like,
Right.
think about, like, I don't know, Frankenstein's Army just comes to mind because I've watched that in the past couple of years. Where, like, I would say that's absolutely a horror movie, even though everyone's a Nazi. And I guess maybe it just comes down to, like, well, no, they're not Nazis, are they? Aren't they? You haven't seen it? Shit. Well,
No.
okay.
Sorry,
They
what
might
one?
be. Are they Russian? I think they're Russian.
In 4?
No, I'm talking about Frankenstein's Army.
Oh, okay.
The group of soldiers in Frankenstein's Army. I think they're Russian now that I think about it. So, okay. Yeah.
That's on Tubi.
See, I know that, when you're watching a Friday 13th or maybe a Nightmare on Elm Street, you might root for Freddy or Jason to kill, like, these teens, but usually those teens are likable and a little bit sympathetic, and they have, like, a charm to them.
Yeah.
Like, these Nazis, first off, they're Nazis, so you don't want to have them be charming, and then they're not. So
Right.
it's just kind of, like, bland seeing them killed. I don't know. The coolest guy is the one who hangs out with, like, topless chicks the whole movie.
Right.
To me, seeing them killed was, like, very exciting in a cathartic way, because it's like they took the brutal, frankly brutal killings of the first 2 movies, turned them up a notch a little bit, and then also it's like people who you love to see die.
Yeah.
So for me,
Yeah.
I guess it was just like watching a really schlocky action movie. Like, not that this is a schlocky action movie, but that it's like just that emotion you have of like Rambo gunning down 20 people.
Right.
I enjoyed it. It's just not horror. I don't know. It's not a horror movie.
I'm just
saying I don't view that as a knock necessarily.
Yeah.
Right. It's just, I mean, I guess Army of Darkness is the same thing, right? Puppet Master 3, the Army of Darkness of the Puppet Master franchise.
When did Army of Darkness come out?
After this, I think. Because this was 91, right? Yeah.
Yeah, and Army of Darkness was 92.
But I keep my personal document of stuff I watched, and I put horror on this, which it's really just more like fantasy adventure, fantasy action, historical, I guess. I don't know.
Wikipedia lists it as horror, and it's just like, I don't know.
But, so, back to the puppet show. There's a guy taking pictures, and, we know that this is a Nazi who's going to turn Toulon in for sedition, basically. And
sedition.
Yeah, he reports to the two dueling, I guess, bad guys of the movie are Dr. Hess, who is played by the guy who is in every B movie that needs a bald guy in his late 50s. I think it's Ian something.
Ian Abercrombie, who also voiced Palpatine in Star Wars: The Clone Wars.
Did he really? Wow.
That's funny.
He has, this is the biggest part I've ever seen him in, but I've seen him in a lot of movies. And then the other guy is, I don't know his name, but the head of the SS, is it?
Major Cross.
Major Krause?
Yeah.
Richard Lynch.
Yeah, Richard Lynch. So this guy's pretty cool. We looked him up. Slushie, you looked him up, right?
Yeah.
Why does he look so particular?
So in 1977, while very high, he set himself on fire in Times Square. And
then he taught himself acting.
Yeah, he survived with 70%, 70% of his body was scarred. He survived, and he kicked drugs and went to acting school. And then he was a villain in 200,000 movies.
Yeah, I know him from the trailer of Invasion USA, which I haven't seen, but he's a very particular looking villain type actor.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, we were talking about the acting. I thought Hess was fine. He's playing the scientist who isn't all that into Hitler. But he's just trying to do science. And then I felt like Krause was kind of he played it all kind of mumbly,
Yeah.
And occasionally he would go Schnell, he'd lift up the volume a little, but he just played it kind of mumbly and shuffly, and his German wasn't great. His German accent.
His German was maybe the worst out of any of them.
At one point he said something like Germany. I don't remember the exact word, but he turned a G into a Y.
General.
General,
which the German wouldn't do that. But anyway. So we meet them, and they have a rivalry. And Hess is trying to bring the dead back to life.
Yeah, the whole premise of the Nazi involvement or interest in the puppets is that Dr. Hess is trying to create some sort of serum to bring dead soldiers back to life so they can act as living body shields for living soldiers, pre-death soldiers, so that less of them die and they can kill more Russians. But he's having trouble with it. He brings dudes back to life and they're alive for a few minutes, but they're flailing around on the bed, and sometimes the first reanimated soldier we see is like seizing on the bed and screaming and stuff, and then they think he's dead, but then he jumps up and starts choking Dr. Hess. Just, pure zombie rage type shit, and then Krauss shoots him in the head.
Yeah, a lot of missed opportunities with that little subplot. We should have had some of those zombies fighting the puppets, I think.
That would have been good.
Something.
That would have been cool, yeah.
So, while we were watching it, Count said, is this the first instance on film of Nazi zombies, which obviously very popular now. But I said, no, I think it was the underwater one, which I looked up, and it's Shockwaves is what I was thinking of, which is from 77. And it has Peter Cushing in it. That's the first one I can think of. I haven't seen this, but I just know about it.
There's probably some Italian movie from the fucking 50s.
I mean, this may be well, no, I'm seeing a lot of American names there. Yeah, you're probably right. 77, a big year for Peter Cushing, yeah. His most remembered role, Shockwaves.
King of the Zombies, 1941. Nazi zombies.
During the war? Wow.
Apparently.
Huh.
I don't like that when you go to Peter Cushing's IMDb page, the second images you see are of Mandalorian and the guy who plays the Mandalorian.
That's strange. So at this point, the guy comes back with the photos. It's established that they're trying to do the zombies. And what's his name? Stein. Okay, so Stein is the guy taking the photos. He comes back. Is this where had we seen the shot? No, okay. We see Krauss going to see Hess, and Krauss's driver is the guy who was taking the photos. And while they're in doing their Nazi zombie stuff, Stein is like playing with a little puppet. He just has a marionette sort of out the driver's side door of the car that he's playing with.
It's like a skeleton with a hat, or something.
Yeah, he looked pretty cool.
Yeah,
I wish it came back, but yeah. But like all the strings were kind of like tangled up. Like he didn't really have it right, and it was kind of awkward. That's kind of a running theme.
Yeah, but it would have been cool if they put like his soul in that one.
Something, yeah.
That or just like he got his hands on some of the reanimator juice and put it into his skeleton puppet, and then there was like a final battle between this really long overjuiced skeleton puppet and then all the other puppets. And like 6-shooter shots don't do anything because they just pass through his rib cage.
With some more budget, yeah, the script could have been absolutely like punched up for sure. In several
we need
ways.
to get popular enough for us to be able to contact Full Moon with a fucking script for Puppet Master 17.
Yeah.
And just be like, here. Do it.
Yeah.
So Charles Band did work on Reanimator, and I'm wondering, is it supposed to be like some sort of, back then the shared universes weren't that well known outside like fucking Godzilla and universe monsters, but it's like the same juice. It does the same things to like the corpses and everything.
That is true. Yeah, it's bright green juice. It's very, yeah.
Seems to be the same thing. I don't know.
I wasn't really thinking about that, but yeah, there's a lot of, similarities. Like we're trying to retain animation beyond a certain amount of minutes, like that's very similar to.
So what I'm getting at is though, Puppet Master 17, Jeffrey Combs back as Herbert West with the puppets.
Damn. Okay.
Okay. Bring him back.
Yeah.
We're going to have to watch Reanimator soon.
Yeah.
If we keep talking about it, because I haven't seen it.
Oh, it's so good.
I think you missed it last Halloween. I think I watched it.
All right. Do you like that one, Mortis?
I used to like it a lot. Like it used to be very, very highly ranked for me, but on the most recent watching, like I mean, I still like it a lot, but it kind of was like less hard to say why. I don't know.
We'll have to see what Slushie thinks in a future episode.
Yeah. So they look at the photos of the puppets. What were you saying?
I need to ask because it just came into my mind since we're talking about Reanimator. Pupper, have you seen Terrordrome?
I've seen Terrordrome. Let me look that
You
up.
know about Terrordrome?
What the heck? Oh, the game.
Sounds familiar.
Right. Yeah.
It's a fighting game with a bunch of classic.
There's no puppets in
iconic. There's no puppets in that.
Is that the one that you and Mortis played?
I mean, yeah, a long time ago. I don't know if you were watching for that.
Yeah, that was the last Halloween.
It wasn't that long ago.
Yeah, it was last fall. Yeah,
like 6 months. It's pretty long.
It looked fun, but I haven't played it.
Anyway, it should have puppets. Make
It
happen.
should.
It should. Yeah. I don't think anything full moon in there. Anyway, I mean, what would it be? Subspecies.
The closest was Herbert West.
Yeah. So from the photos of the puppets, he draws the conclusion that because 6-shooter doesn't have strings. Well, and then I guess he also takes he takes pictures through the window of Toulon feeding the puppets through their neck hole with the green goo. And Hess comes to the conclusion that that's what he needs for the Nazi zombies to work. So that becomes their their goal. And the SS, they go and they shoot Toulon's wife, who looks about 30 years younger than him.
Oh,
but, Toulon there.
Who is, what's her name? Ursa from Superman 2?
Yeah, we saw that on the Video Zone. I don't remember the name, but she's the evil Kryptonian woman.
It is Ursa.
Okay.
He's apparently also in the first one. I haven't seen
Yeah, they make a very brief cameo.
It's been a long time since I've seen the Supermans. What'd you think of Toulon?
I thought he kicked ass. He was the best character in the movie.
I like Wacky Toulon from the second movie better, but he's all right.
I think he was pretty good. He has a good look, I think. Like he has this kind of like diabolical goatee, and he sort of like grows into that character that he looks like through the movie. He felt like kind of like a stage actor. I'm not really sure what his history is, right? But he gives that monologue, and it felt real stagey.
I love that monologue. That was great.
What am I looking at?
You will cry me mercy, and I will have none.
Guy Ross. He lived to be 91.
Toulon did? The actor?
Yeah.
Okay.
So he was...
Apparently, he's also Toulon in 4, 5, and appears in Retro Puppet Master.
Yeah, he does say on the Video Zone that, you know, after watching his performance, he hopes that people is like, what do you hope people take from your performance in Puppet Master 3? And he's like, I hope they want to see me in 4. So
I can read like the very first paragraph of his Wikipedia. Rolf was born in Kilburn, London. Before turning to acting at the age of 24, he was a professional boxer and racing driver, making his stage debut in Ireland in 1935.
Man,
so he was a stage guy.
That was one man, man. Let me tell you.
I was about to say that.
Born in 1911.
Wow.
Yeah, women were allowed to be men.
I put a picture of him from a 1937 movie called Dr. Sardonius in the Discord. It just looks really cool. Mr. Sardonius.
Mr. Sardonius here.
or Donicus.
Sort.
61, I guess.
Oh, I guess I thought those were like the mouths for his eyes. Again,
Cool.
a connection. It looks kind of like the Puppet Master
Like
2 guy.
2, yeah.
Yeah.
So we meet him and his wife, Toulon and his wife, who we had seen in 2 in flashback, but they're different actors now and aged. And the SS.
I guess that's why when they showed the flashback footage,
Right.
why it was just the magician,
Yeah.
his goblin puppet.
Yeah, because they're different actors, and they replay the footage from 2 where they met the Egyptian magician, but they just don't show Toulon and his wife.
Yeah.
But the SS shows up, and the puppets are here. They're all alive. They're all fully established. Some absences.
And the blade's not there yet.
Blade's not there yet.
There.
Yeah, and the SS, they shoot Elsa. Is that the wife's name? They shoot the wife.
Yes.
For she's trying to get the formula out of a Nazi's hands, and she gets shot in the back and later fully killed by Kraus.
Yeah.
Toulon very upset, very sad. And
Yeah, until the ending.
right. They take him away in a car with, for some reason, just Pinhead and Tunneler. And then I guess they leave. Who would it be? 6-shooter at that point?
Yeah, the behind 6-shooter and Jester.
Oh yeah, Jester was there. Oh, right. I guess we should say, before this happens, Toulon gives his wife a puppet of her. And it doesn't. Oh yeah. It's real like Haunted Doll Watch type energy on this puppet. It's not like a great likeness, but it is. It's his wife. He has made a puppet of his wife, who he says he would die without. So, our first kills happen in the car ride. Tunneler tunnels up through the driver's seat into the driving Nazi, and Pinhead chokes the guy beside Toulon. Toulon escapes
through the seat into the back of the driving Nazi, and then a little bit out of his chest also.
Yeah.
It was very cool.
Yeah.
Great kill by Tunneler.
I was saying in the previous episode, I wish Tunneler would go through something. He finally does. It's great.
His sound, like that drill sound, I made a note. It was very unsettling. It's like being at the dentist in the worst way.
Right. It was, yeah. It was like a dentist's drill.
Tunneler's eyes are articulated now. He can open his eyes.
Yeah, do we ever actually see them moving? But
the very first shot where you can see his eyes open, he like blinks. And then after that, they're just open.
Yeah.
The entire movie.
So there's, probably between all the movies, they make little changes to the puppets or make whole new ones. But Tunneler's eyes, he has those weird dead fish eyes, black eyes.
The Baby Yoda eyes.
The Baby Yoda eyes. And you can see on this puppet, they're like fully able to move, but I guess they don't often move. They burn the stage. There's something about this movie. This is kind of the first instance of it. I feel like the continuity was kind of weak.
Yeah.
And if you're eagle-eyed and like paying attention to stuff, like there's a lot of parts. I don't know that
you even have to be eagle-eyed.
Right. Yeah, but if you're paying attention, there's a lot of parts where you're like, is that really how that would work? I don't know. But the first instance I remember thinking they set his puppet stage on fire back at his puppet HQ. And then like in the next shot, there's like kind of these cheesy flames coming up out of the like foreground of the camera. Like, how did that get there? And they look really weird. It's like, and then Toulon goes to a different building that looks exactly like the first building. It's like, wasn't this just on fire? No, it's a different building. You have to realize.
Well, that's a big part of why it's so confusing is when Toulon is giving the juice to the puppets and the Nazis raid him, they're backstage.
Yeah.
And like the puppet stage is in front of what looks like just a regular stage, and it's just like on the floor in front of a regular stage.
Yeah.
And I assume it's just so that.
But later
Toulon
the
can
Nazis
stand.
do go back to the burnt down stage.
Yes.
And
Well, yeah,
things aren't
that's why it
burnt
was
down
confusing.
either.
Right. Yeah, well there's that
Sure, right, yeah.
there's that part later where Toulon goes back there and he's like, here we are back home again, and he's just like, he falls asleep and takes a little nap, and like nothing's burned. Like they don't sort of like turn the camera 45 degrees to show like the ashes of the stage or anything. It was just something
It was
that
just
would be
a very
impactful.
it was a very self-contained fire. Why burn down a stage when you only need to burn down the smaller puppet stage so that you can't do puppet shows? Because you can't do puppet shows on a big stage. That's just impractical.
Right.
I mean, I feel like a better way to handle that though, outdoor stage, small outdoor puppet stage that they burn
Yeah.
Yeah.
for the
that would
audience,
make
you
sense.
know. Because they probably didn't want to burn down a real stage for some company that they're allowed to rent to film
Or, yeah.
on for a day.
Sure. Yeah, I guess they were on a Universal lot and they had to have someone
I
on
mean,
hand
they-
and just put it out as soon as the camera
Right.
stopped rolling.
They did say on the Video Zone that filming on the Universal lot is very expensive, so they did all the external shots in like 3 days. They said.
Yeah. Oh, I want to note here the director David Ducoto on the Video Zone, on the shots of him directing the movie, he's wearing a Ford Fairlane shirt, which I marked out for.
Oh yeah, Ford Fairlane's the fucking.
It's the
Andrew
Andrew
Dice Clay thing, right?
Yeah, I love that movie. But it's just really funny to see. It's like, what? Of all the things to be wearing.
He loved it.
Yeah.
He's a fan.
I mean,
I don't
that
think
movie came out a year before Puppet Master 3, so
I don't know if he worked
I
on
guess-
it, but like, I've watched the commentary of Fairlane, and the director's like Eastern European or something. So it's not
Rennie Harlan. on
okay.
That, and he's Finnish.
Okay. European, sorry. Northern European.
Yeah.
So the next mission now is, well, okay, yeah, Toulon escapes back to this other place, and this is where he gives his montage, or his M word. Monologue. Thank you.
Monologue. Yeah. Wait. Did we know David Dakota directed a talking cat? Exclamation mark, question mark,
Yes,
exclamation
yes.
mark?
I don't.
Okay.
Oh, I don't know if
With Eric Roberts.
did we
the
mention.
Talking Cat.
Did we mention this last time? We may have.
I don't know if we mentioned it on the podcast, but I know I've mentioned it.
I think Dot Level might have said
Before.
something in the chat.
That or Raptor.
Maybe sorry after, yeah. Could be. So he finds. Yes. Cloudy music.
Apparently
A
we
way
mentioned
to
it in the
mention
first
Talking
podcast.
Cat every episode. Well, okay,
That
that's
would be
good.
very good.
Easy bit.
6 degrees of it. So I guess it's like a doctor's office, right? It must be that he's in a bombed out doctor's office.
Seems to be that way.
And I didn't look up the timeline on this, but like, I don't know when like the counter bombing of Berlin started, right? Like, would there have been bombed out stuff in 41? I don't know. Because
I think so by then, yeah.
there's like, it's generally fine, but there's some destroyed buildings, and then like there's one part of town that's just a Southern California steel mill that fell apart. So,
It looks like the first bombing was in 1940, so
okay.
it fits.
Okay. So like a sort of destroyed doctor's office he's in at this point, and he sees a bunch of leeches, and he's like, leeches. I'll suck the blood out of all you bastards. And then he gives his little monologue that Slushie said, and we're like, okay. You start making the connections to Leech Woman, who is not in the movie yet. But the next mission is to get the corpse of Elsa, which is in possession of the Nazis.
I mean, we find out in this movie that the puppets have souls in them or something.
Yeah, later we find out.
Right.
But I guess at this point...
That does make sense why he needed to break in to extract something from Elsa.
Yeah, it's not... So, like, it's Pinhead and Jester on this mission. They break in to the Nazi morgue. And...
The Nazi morgue where there's a bunch of anatomy posters and then also 8x10 prints of naked women.
Were there?
And a puppet-sized lock.
Yes! There were like 2 or 3. Like in the first shot where you see the Nazi scientist like leaning back on at his desk and listening to the Hitler speech on the radio.
Yeah.
There's the big like the 3 foot by 4 foot poster of the muscles on a human, and then right below that is just a naked. It's just the topless woman picture.
Well, that's just anatomy, right? You gotta.
Like,
I mean, yeah.
I didn't notice that at all.
I didn't notice it either. Now, do you buy that as being wartime Nazi Germany? Like, just a little.
I don't know.
What aspect?
Do you get immersed enough in it?
Like just the general thing, or like the morgue in particular?
All of it, sure. But in the morgue in particular is when I had this thought, so we can focus on the morgue, I guess.
The morgue in particular was very strange. Everything else seemed pretty accurate.
Well,
it evoked it well enough.
The bigger point I'm trying to make is that I think that that's the trickery of film, as in film stock itself, because I can tell, like, yeah, it's not actually Nazi Germany, but my mind tricks me into thinking it, and I have my suspension of disbelief. But you could take that same set and shoot it on digital, and it'd be like, this looks like shit.
Right. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Which
there's a reason that every AAA video game now has fucking film grain on it that you can turn on.
Right.
But like they want it to look cinematic.
The Dr. Death or like the Blade little hour-long spin-off movies that they have done kind of do that, and it's digital. It looks so bad. I know we're not there yet, but it looks so bad.
Be ready for shit that looks bad. I mean, I think it's set well enough. It looks pretty empty, and there's a couple establishing shots of like stock footage. Like we said, there's like 25 people in the movie tops, but there's a couple shots where it's like, oh, here's a street of people, and it must be just from some World War II movie they had on hand. And it sticks out, but it sort of goes
while they
a
were
little
shooting
way.
While they were shooting on the Universal backlot, they had one of the interns go sneak into the archives and find a World War II movie that didn't have a lock on the what's it called, the real case.
So the guys like listening to I don't remember if it didn't sound like it was supposed to be Hitler, but he's listening to some speech on the radio. And I
assumed it was just because it was like yelling constantly.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah,
which every Hitler speech you hear in any media is from that one where he's yelling constantly.
Right, his eyes hypnotic. He turns to some folk music, but he is garroted by Pinhead.
Yeah, that was cool.
Yeah, it was pretty cool.
Great kill.
Jester. So another guy comes in. And he's like, "Mach schnell," and Jester stabs him in the ankle with a little scalpel and just sort of backs off.
don't forget Jester runs for like 30 seconds, and
That's true.
the camera's like tight on Jester, and he's just giggling.
Yeah.
He's just is so giddy that he's about to stab a dude.
Yeah.
It was great.
Jester wants to do a little, but not a lot. Support character. So after what happens with that guy? Like, they don't kill that guy on camera,
they
right?
let him live for some reason.
Yeah, but Toulon gets in, and he does
that
something.
A horror movie.
Yeah,
is that
right.
the guy that? That's not the guy that. No, it's not. Okay, I won't say it right now.
It's not the
we'll
guy.
Talk about it later. It's not. It's not that.
But Toulon does something with his wife's corpse off camera. Like, I don't know if something was not filmed or something was not cut. You know, something was cut for rating or something. He does something, which I guess we can assume he fills a syringe. You know,
I think taking her brains. I'm assuming, but I don't know for sure.
Yeah.
That would make sense if he got a little bit of brain matter, because like what they talk about later with the puppets all being a particular person in Toulon's life.
I'm basing
and
off
also
the
in
second
Puppet
movie.
Master, in Puppet Master 2, where Toulon like does a pig squeal and he's like, "You got me pig brains, you jackass."
Yeah.
Whatever he says.
It's actually part brains.
So after they don't kill the other guy, is it after they don't kill the other guy or before? Like, Jester runs over and unlocks the door. I don't remember.
Yeah.
The sequence.
Oh, that was
kill
before.
Okay,
They kill the guy,
that's
they
to
unlock
get to the
door, and he
corpse.
comes
Okay.
in.
Yeah.
So I guess the corpse is behind a locked door, and for some reason the lock is on. It's like a sliding a bolt lock, but it's on the floor where a puppet can get it. Like, they couldn't think of any conceivable way other than putting the bolt on the floor to pull up.
It's weird because there are door locks where you like step on a thing and it goes into the floor. Those exist.
Yeah, I'm sure
but
they
they're
do.
They're usually big and meant for your foot.
Yeah.
So to them, I guess they just couldn't find one of those and were like, okay, well, you know those locks on like a fucking bathroom stall? Just grab one of those. We'll attach it to the bottom of this door.
Screw it on the door.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's very convenient.
It was very funny.
One other thing about the morgue before we move on. During Nazi Germany, like the victims that they shoot, would they even bother bringing them to a morgue?
Depends on who they are, but probably not. Yeah. Probably not.
I'm just thinking about that. Probably overthinking it.
My thinking on it right now is just that maybe they did that so that they could give her a proper funeral so that Toulon would cooperate more once they catch him, maybe?
Maybe.
Well, it's certainly not in the script, but it could be if you want it to be.
The main Nazi guy was just going to kill him.
He was, but the doctor...
Yeah.
The doctor really needed to just talk to him to learn the secrets of the juice, and the general, the very horny general, was very supportive of the doctor's needs, not so much supportive of Krauss really wanting to massacre people.
All right, I can buy it then as some sort of leverage that we have your wife's corpse. You better cooperate, type of thing.
Yeah. It certainly would be better for it to have been in the movie, someone saying that or something, but...
I mean, I think got
so much film.
The normal mind is like, well, they're a functioning society, and a society takes corpses to a morgue, right?
I mean, modern day, but like,
yeah.
I don't know. I don't want to get too historical, but like they were killing people in the streets all the time. Were they really bringing them to morgues? I don't know.
Well, there's several tables in there. Who knows?
Who knows? I mean, I'm sure they were bringing German citizens,
right?
Aryan German citizens to morgues. But
they did.
They did say that Elsa was Jewish.
So. Yeah, Krauss did say, I don't see any loss in shooting a Jewish woman or something, and which is
Right.
like they don't really, we never hear what Toulon's, race is. I guess they never really go into that.
Toulon does talk about fighting in the war, so I kind of came to the conclusion that he was a German-born citizen.
I assumed World War One.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Because he talks about the horrors committed in World War One, and like that would have been 20 years prior to this, so he would have been war-fighting age.
Yeah. So, looking at the synopsis, this is the point where we meet Toulon's friend Peter.
Oh yeah.
He's hiding out in his, bombed out steel factory bunker, and Peter and his dad. Peter is a very ugly child.
He's a 40-year-old man trapped in his body.
He is between 4 and 30.
Yeah.
His age.
It's like he looks like from far away, he looks like he could be 16 or an adult, but he talks and acts like a 5-year-old.
Yeah.
So it's very confusing.
And he's been a fan of Toulon. He loves the puppet shows, and he's, happy to find him, and he wants to be Toulon's assistant with the puppets, and they kind of learn that the puppets are alive, and we looked him up, and he does. Oh, where'd I put it? There it is. The actor does play Nog on Deep Space Nine. Raptor says Clint Howard child. I thought the same thing.
Yeah, Moore said that last night.
I said
he looked very familiar.
I said he looked like Clint Howard, and Count said he plays Nog on Deep Space Nine. So
also I looked up. He was apparently 21 or 22 when he played that role.
Nog or this role?
It's a shame.
This role.
He was 21?
Yeah, he was born in 1969.
What on earth?
And Nog was 2 years after this movie, where
my
he started
God.
playing Nog.
What?
It's so weird.
Wow. Okay, well, so Peter's very enthusiastic. His dad is less enthusiastic, and his dad is Sarafter says he's got a Gary Coleman condition. Don't know if that's a joke. Maybe not. Feel bad if so. But
I mean, it wouldn't be the first
like he's not that short,
time
but
this
he's
movie that we've made comments on someone's physical appearance and then something bad was behind
serious,
it.
not joke. Okay.
Yeah.
He's not that short, but he does
Alright.
he just looks very young. I don't know. Let's see. So his dad not that big into it. His dad says Krause.
Do you think people nowadays refer to that as an Andy Milonakis thing instead of a Gary Coleman thing?
Both. I'd say both. I've heard both.
Who's Andy Milonakis?
He's also like someone that's 40 years old and looks about 12.
Yeah, he has the.
Oh, I didn't know.
I don't
that.
know if it's the
Okay,
exact
him.
same condition, but
I
it's
just-
a similar condition.
I didn't know
He's-
about that.
He's known for the Andy Milonakis show on MTV and some other stuff.
Okay.
And listen, Aaron Eisenberg, who plays Peter, if you want to come on the show and talk to us all about it, feel free to.
But after,
Contact.
Well-
Leave a comment.
would it be easier to get him or Charlie Sperling? Because like,
Charlie has
he's
a
probably more
product to
famous.
sell.
But he's probably more famous than her, right? Because of Deep
I don't
Space
know.
Nine.
Maybe.
Maybe.
He's probably been to more conventions.
Look, anyone who's worked on Puppet Master wants to talk to us,
Yes, anybody.
feel free to.
So, Peter's mom.
Whoa, hold on.
What?
Cycrafter said he's dead.
Is he?
Is
Well,
he?
I
I
feel
guess
like a
we're in-
complete ass.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Oh, yeah, he died in 2019. Okay, well.
Well, rest in peace. God damn it.
Thank you for your work, Peter.
I guess it would be easier to get Charlie Spradling on that.
That narrows it down.
Yeah, probably.
So Peter's mother has been taken by Krause, and they don't, I feel like it's obvious to us that she's dead. But like Peter and his dad don't believe it. And
the dad knows. He just is lying to him.
Does he? Do you think? Well, no, because
I thought he said that.
No, because when he's talking to Krause, and when he's talking to Krause to do the trail, he's saying that he wants freedom for him, his son, and his wife.
Oh, okay.
But at this point, Six Shooter gets his big mission to kill the general, who the general is like the go-between between Hess and Krause and like Goering and whatever.
Right. Was this the best part in the movie?
It may have been, but I want to set up the general because we didn't talk about him yet.
Yeah.
In
the first time we see him.
Yeah.
The first time we see him, Krause and Hess are in an argument over what's going to happen when they catch Toulon. Is Krause going to torture him, or is Hess just going to speak with him and like try and collaborate with him? So Hess calls the general, and the general picks up, and he's in like an old-timey cowboy bath with 4 naked women around him bathing him.
Yeah, rules.
Yeah. So the next major time we see the general is he is having sex with a lady. And it's at this point. So like 90% of this guy's scenes, he's just with topless women. So he had a great shoot on this movie. And he's just like an old dude.
He used to play the Russian agent in like old James Bond movies, according to the video zone.
Yeah,
he easily accepted the role.
Yeah, he loved it. So
what was the in the video zone, they showed him saying a line where he's like leaving the Nazi office and saying yes as a top brass meeting. Is that when he goes to the brothel the second time and has sex with the lady who's wearing his hat? And then
I mean, I guess it would be in continuity. He's like, I gotta go talk to the brass, and then he goes, goes and has sex again.
Gets his brass taken care of.
Yes. His brass polished. So Toulon decides he's up next for assassination, and he goes out in the streets in the Universal backlot and takes Six Shooter. Toulon is disguised as a blind man. Mm-hmm. He's got like a sign on him that says like Hilfen der Blinden or something, like help the blind, and He just sort of takes Six Shooter out of a bag and puts him on the wall of this building he knows the general is in, and he climbs up it like Spider-Man.
Yeah, it's so cool. It's a great scene because it's like when they show him climbing the wall, it's looking down at Six Shooter as if someone was looking out a window.
Yeah.
And like when they shot that, they probably just had like a horizontal thing that they were doing.
Yeah, it was probably
stop motion up along, but then you see behind him some Nazi soldiers that walk under him, and he like looks back at them. It's super cool. It's incredibly well done.
It's very Dracula. Have you read Dracula Mortis?
Yes.
When he's like crawling on the walls.
Yeah.
It's great.
Well, I've read half of Dracula. I think we need to also watch Dracula.
Yeah.
Sometime soon.
We should.
I've been thinking about it nonstop since playing the Genesis game.
Just as an aside on Dracula, and I'll mention this when we do Dracula. No, I'll say it now. I took this history class, like European history, and the teacher was a real freak. He was like real ripped and like 50, and like he really wanted to be less than 50. But anytime he talked about Dracula, he would like turn his arm upside down and slap his wrist and go, "It's in the blood. It's a metaphor for European. It's in the blood." He would just like yell. So I always think of that when I think of That's Dracula. Cool. The first time we see 6-shooter going up, it's like before the cool stop motion scene, there's like a pretty kind of bad scene where they're just pulling the puppet up the building with strings. And you can kind of see the strings, but it's like...
his arms are kind of moving.
Yeah, his arms are kind of moving.
It's like just enough that if you were watching it on a VHS...
More
movies
so...
that only came out on VHS that they all filmed on film for some reason. I'm glad they did.
More so than Dracula, it made me think of like Toei Spider-Man.
Right.
And like like that one part in if Slushie remembers that one part in Roaring Fire, when all the ninjas are like climbing up the building, if you remember that part. It made me think of like Japanese style building climbing effects. But then the stop motion is really good. I feel like this movie, we talked about like the really, really good stop motion in the first two movies. I feel like this movie has less overall. Like there's still a lot of little like 2-second clips.
Yeah, very short ones.
But like for the most part, they're not as impressive as parts in 1 and 2. But the part of 6-shooter climbing was really good. The shot down.
The only other one that I feel is like memorable, or that at least I remember specifically, is when Toulon's going to give them the juice very early on, and it's like Tunneler.
Like climbing up and walking.
Climbing onto the table and walking, yeah.
I just rewatched 6-shooter with the strings, yeah. It looks kind of bad.
I didn't even notice it when we were watching the movie itself, but then they showed it very briefly in the video zone.
Yeah. So 6-shooter breaks in. The guy is the general is post-coitus. 6-shooter ambushes him. He has the ability to like magically lift his scarf.
That was so cool.
I guess that's a stop motion scene. Like that was well done, because it's sort of like
like that.
Draws all his guns and spins them and magically lifts his scarf up and gets ready for battle. And the general, he shoots once, wings the general, shoots back, blows one of his 6 arms off. October Games, if you're listening, you need to allow us to do that. The 6-shooter in the game.
Yeah.
6-shooter with 6 arms is able to do massive damage. Anyway. But then he kills the general. The shot of the general getting... he kind of turns around.
So small.
Right. The general kind of like turns around as he's getting shot, and he like puts his hands on the window in it, like he's stopping himself. And then the next shot is he flies out, a stuntman flies out of the window. Like they could have cut the previous shot maybe 2 frames earlier or something.
Yeah, just another example of not the greatest continuity.
But yeah, like Slushie said, Krauss, they come to investigate it, and Krauss, it's like, "I've never seen such tiny bullets." I don't know why he sounds kind of Scottish there, but...
I just, since we're on the topic of 6-shooter killing someone, I just want to read this brief trivia blurb on the IMDb page.
Okay.
The laughter of the 6-shooter puppet was supplied by Albert Band, father of producer / Full Moon CEO Charles Band. Albert had escaped France during the Nazi regime, which means every time the viewer hears 6-shooter laughing after he had gunned down a Nazi, that is the actual voice of a man who had really escaped from them.
Cool. So, he was laughing a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It also sounded like
all the puppets were very
loop.
vocal in this movie, like in a way that I didn't really like. They have vocalizations in the first two, but it just happens so much in this movie. It was
Yeah.
very hard not to notice.
I did want to mention that again on the topic of like it not being a great horror movie. Like 6-shooter is not very scary to look at. Like I guess he's a little sinister, but the laugh really helps. It's like he just every time he does anything.
It's a great
goes
laugh.
A long way.
It's just looped.
No, it's every individual time he's thinking about shooting a Nazi. You heard the trivia.
Pretty sure it's the same hee over and over.
Well, it's probably, I don't know.
I really appreciated that Jester laughed so much. He was like giggling little boy
Jester
this
was
entire
giggling a lot.
Yeah, it was before he got really sad.
Oh, I don't think we went over. We didn't talk about Stein's death. That was much earlier.
Oh,
that was another Pinhead kill, right?
That's I think he's the one that got wrenched.
Yeah.
Yeah. Stein is Kraus like tells Stein, go service the car, be back in 1 hour. Expect to be out all night. And then the next scene is like Stein working on the car, and he's like, be back in an hour. Fucking have your car ready. Right. Get your car ready. Have yourself ready. Have your asshole ready.
Right. That was a good line. And he had given himself a little oiled Hitler mustache just for fun, I guess.
Yeah.
But he puts down the hood of the car, and Jester's sitting on the hood of the car, and he's... What was this line? He says, like, it is a clown picnic.
That's what he said.
That's what the subtitle said, but it's like, is that right? That's like on the level of today is Thanksgiving Day for cats. I might have to just start saying clown picnic.
Clown picnic.
Yeah. So Jester's just there, but then also Pinhead's there. Pinhead just kills him.
Gets him with the wrench.
Yeah, just like in the game.
Gets him with the wrench, just like the game.
Oh wait, no, Leech. So okay, we didn't miss it. Never mind, because Leech Woman's involved.
Okay.
Anyway, so to flash somewhere else, we do see the creation of Leech Woman after he gets the brain, Toulon. He takes the haunted doll watch of Elsa, which Slushy posted here. The doll that Toulon made of his wife, and he injects the goo into her, and she starts squirming. Sounds pretty miserable.
Yeah.
Yeah, sounds awful.
And then Toulon is like, "All right, I'm gonna put the leech in your mouth." And he puts one of his leeches.
He says, "I can't." He says, "I can't help you," or something like that, but you can revenge yourself.
Yeah, you can revenge yourself. And he inserts one leech into Leech Woman, and the next time we see the puppet, which is like immediate, it cuts away and cuts back, and she has changed. Her face and hair have changed to Leech Woman, and then later she changes clothes to this like purple geisha type thing.
Yeah.
Now, in universe, do you think they talked about that? Like, hey, if you die, do you want to come back as a puppet?
I don't know. Like, she must have known, right?
Right.
That all the puppets were people.
I wouldn't do that to my wife.
Well, yeah, I mean, maybe
your wife.
Maybe this is. They don't really go into it, but like it, they certainly could use this as like, well, maybe Toulon's a little crazy and not that sympathetic, but they don't really go into that angle. But yeah, I mean, I asked, I think, where do these leeches come from? And you kind of just have to say, well, that's part of the Egyptian magic, I guess. She was
her power.
She was primed, and she had a leech put in there, and now she has leeches. That's just the way it is.
6-shooter has little bullets, so.
Well, the bullets could be made, right? Like,
I guess
Toulon could be just carving little bullets. 6-shooter could be carving little bullets. I don't know.
Yes, he does have 6 hands. The guns aren't
That's
like,
true.
attached to his hands. He can put them away.
Yeah. Let's see. So we find out that, Hess is making progress with the formula.
Oh yeah, that scene was great.
He raises a Nazi soldier who had shot himself in the head, and he pantomimes shooting himself in the head again with an empty gun, and like the makeup is really good. It's like open,
Yeah, it's fantastic.
open head zombie. And they're like, okay, we need to find a soldier who died thinking about battle, and because then the zombie will be thinking about battle and they'll be good. That's sort of where that subplot stops, right? Like we don't really,
yeah, more or
Doesn't
less.
come back.
we don't really, other than Hess just talking to Toulon after that, like we're done with the zombies at this point, unfortunately.
He mentions that he needs to speak with Toulon to like do something so that they stay alive for more than like 3 months.
Yeah, they need to.
So they
learn
don't really
about-
have an opportunity to show a further progressed zombie, I guess. But it is strange that they have this whole zombie thing and only show 2 zombies.
Yeah. So yeah, I guess at this point they're post the general's killing, and all the Nazis are looking for Toulon and scouring Berlin.
Oh yeah, during the general shooting, he has an arm blown off, 6-shooter, and he becomes 5-shooter for
Yeah.
20 minutes. But he also isn't in the movie until he gets fixed again. So
Yeah, and Toulon's running around with the Robin Hood disguise on, which I'm only realizing just.
The Robin Hood disguise.
Yeah, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I guess.
Oh,
Robin
yeah.
Hood does do that at some point, right?
Yeah,
But yeah,
he pretends to be blind.
I didn't think about that.
that happens in the Disney movie as well, doesn't it?
Yeah.
The
That's
furry
like the
one.
only Robin Hood I've seen. Oh yes, the furry.
I didn't know if that was Disney or if that was like
Yeah.
Don Bluth or something.
I mean, I think he worked on it, but it was while he was at Disney.
It's Disney, for sure.
But this is where I want to just mention throughout the film, throughout the synopsis, anytime they talk about where Toulon is, regardless of like the actual location in the film, the synopsis calls it Toulon's Atelier. However you pronounce that word.
The atelier.
The
his
atelier.
magic shop.
Toulon's Atelier. Like whether it's in a bunker or I don't know. So I guess this is the point where they come up with the wanted poster, right? And then Peter's dad
Yeah,
Yes,
Peter's
yes.
dad like
turns Toulon in exchange for
he tells Peter to stay inside and not talk to Toulon anymore. Go to
Yeah.
sleep. It's bad. He's bad for you. Then he doesn't show the wanted poster, but it's kind of
No, it
obvious
does.
it's a wanted. Well, I mean, like it doesn't show the like what it says exactly. He's just looking at a piece of paper and then he folds it
you can
inside out,
you can kind of see
so
it.
you can
and it-
kind of tell. Yeah.
I think it was like actually a different poster though, right? In that scene, because like
I think so. Yeah.
the one that Krause was like waving around had a photo, and then I think the one that the dad had was an illustration. I felt like because you only see like
I
a
don't-
quarter of the poster, and it
Yeah,
didn't look
it's hard
exactly
to
the
say.
same. But so Toulon is sold out, and the SS is they're looking for him, and then Hess is looking for him. Hess finds Peter, and Peter takes Hess to him first.
Yeah, it was really that was such a weird thing, and that's where the age of Peter was really confusing because Peter goes to Toulon's old backstage where he like picks up a head and some kind of other puppet parts, and then he hears somebody coming, so he hides in the cupboard. And then Hess comes in, he's like, what happened to the head and the puppet parts that were on the table? And he looks around and opens the cupboard, finds Peter. And then in the next scene, he like has given Peter a peanut butter and jelly sandwich and a big glass of milk.
Yeah.
I thought it looked like a
Peter's
Subway
like-
sandwich.
Well, Peter's the main thing is that he's like hunched over the thing, eating like he's never eaten.
Yeah.
Like he hasn't eaten in 2 weeks, which is possible. And he's like, "I'm his assistant, you know." And
Yeah, he's acting
Hess
like
is
he's
like,
5
"Oh,
years
I know
old."
you are."
Oh, I don't want
He's
to make
talking to him
you
like he's
mad
a
at
fucking
me.
small baby.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It's so strange.
Well, you know.
So
you
then, of course,
grow up during wartime. Maybe the education wasn't as good. I don't know.
Maybe. But then, of course, Peter, like, Hess is like, "I just want to talk to him. If I say anything bad, I'll leave immediately. You just tell me." And then,
Yeah, and Peter caves immediately.
yeah, Peter's like, "Oh, yeah, sure. I won't tell you exactly where he is, but I'll take you to the building."
Right.
Which was a really weird line.
Which, like, is exactly where he's at, so I don't know.
Right.
And this was sort of a weird anti-twist because you expect it to be like a trick, but then it's not. Like Hess is.
Well, that's the
just-
thing is, like,
Hess just has good intentions, and it doesn't.
he just wants to finish his project, and
Yeah.
he hates Kraus, and
He
he
has-
hates Hitler, so...
Yeah, he has good intentions, which is to make Nazi zombies. That's all he wants to do for science. But
He's dedicated to his work.
yeah,
He just wants to speak to another scientist
yeah. So
in a
they,
very normal way about a very normal thing.
and this is where we learn. He finds him, and we learn about the puppets.
Yeah.
And
Right.
we see that he's working on Blade here, right?
Yes.
Right. he
Like
is.
Blade, the famous second in command of the puppets, has not been in the film.
Famous best puppet of the franchise.
At this point, Toulon is actually making him during this conversation, but you know, like he goes down the existing puppets and says whose soul is in him, and gestures like, you know, the librarian. He always joking, always playing practical joke. And Pinhead, the truck driver, killed by the Nazis for smuggling food to the Jewish ghetto.
ghettos.
Yeah. and then, you know, my wife, Elsa. And then it's like, oh, you know, Blade. We realized at this point that Blade is supposed to be the likeness of Kraus, which is pretty good, I guess. Maybe
Yeah,
better than
it
Elsa
does.
in a cartoonish way.
Yeah.
So they're like, oh, he's gonna put Kraus in Blade? That's weird. But is this the point where the Nazi guy this is another I think it was before this. This is another weird continuity thing where, like, the Nazi guy comes into Toulon's hideout and Toulon blows out his oil lamp and just sits there. And the Nazi's
he's-
like looking left and right, and then he looks.
Yeah, that was a little bit earlier.
Yeah, it was a little earlier, but it's like the Nazi is in a place in the room where Toulon has had conversations with people, like looking at each other, and there's a huge backlight behind Toulon, and he's just sitting, and the Nazi just doesn't see him and walks out. It's
He's
like,
just
what?
Well, he's
Okay.
like sitting there holding his hand over Peter's mouth. And
Yeah.
they're just there, directly in front of the door that the Nazi walks.
There's just this huge blue backlight behind them. It's like he'd see him.
It was
but-
very weird.
And I guess at this point, I wanted to get a screen cap of this, but I forgot. Like, nobody in this fucking movie knows how to hold a gun. It was driving me crazy. Like, they're like holding sticks. Like, the guys with rifles are treating them like spears or something. Like, they're holding them weird. And
It was very weird.
like everybody has
Yeah, and-
really weird pistol holding.
When
Like, they hold it at
Kraus-
weird angles.
When Kraus kills Elsa, he holds the pistol like up by his face with his elbow elevated above it.
Yeah.
It's like he's going to stab someone, except he has a gun.
Yeah.
It's very strange.
Like, none of the extras that I think I said Hess was the guy who like held a gun
He's
the
the only
most
one that held a
correctly.
gun.
like a human, like someone who's ever shot a gun. But just, I mean, I guess they're they're in Berlin. They're not on the front line.
Right.
So like, Kraus shows up, and there's like
has sold out.
The dad has sold him out.
Yeah.
So, oh yeah, they didn't say anything about Tunneler, did they?
No, I don't think so.
Tunneler's human was not mentioned.
I guess they would have to. They just didn't come up with a reason that he looks like a soldier from somewhere.
Yeah.
For some reason.
But let's see. So, sort of a chase starts. Sort of an action scene starts at this point when Kraus and Slushie is posted. This is
Count this.
Count. Yeah, Count has posted how he shoots. This is how he shoots his gun.
So weird.
He is closing his eyes.
He's shooting at a woman who is laying on the floor bleeding out. And that's how he decides to do it.
So, like, Tunneler gets a Nazi by going into his ankle, right?
Yeah, he does the dash, the bend over while running dash from the video game.
Yeah.
Straight into the Nazi's ankle.
And Pinhead bricks a guy, right? Which is which occurs one of his abilities in the game.
From the game. Yep. He bricks the Nazi and knocks him out. Tunneler hits the one Nazi in the ankle. That Nazi falls over, and then Leech Woman is hanging from a chandelier that doesn't look like it would be in a place like that even before it was bombed out.
Yeah.
And she's just dropping leeches onto the dude, and he's not making any attempt to move out.
Well, his ankle's gone.
Well, yeah, but like you roll out of the way.
Right.
I don't know.
He's just shocked at what's happening to him.
Yeah, he's just like writhing on the ground, screaming, and four leeches one after another fall on his face, and then one
little
falls into his
cretins
mouth,
attacking
and then he's
him.
dead.
And Peter's dad is killed, which nobody could have seen coming. Kraus just shoots him, and then there's sort of a chase. This is another part that sort of beggars belief, is like they're in the streets on the Universal set, and six shooters like in a nook, I guess, and a couple Nazi soldiers are running past, and the second one looks in the nook, and six shooter just goes blah, 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 like a Gatling gun. It's really cool. And
It was a great kill.
Yeah, blows squibs out the guy's back, and the guy shoots his gun into the air. It's like, what about the guy who was right ahead of him? Like he didn't hear that. He's not going to turn around and look at that.
They already rounded the corner.
I guess.
So the way the acoustics are in Berlin, it's just if you round a corner, you can't hear anything.
But like Hess comes out of that building. I guess that's where Toulon and Hess were, and he's like, "This is." This is the one. This is the one we can make a good Nazi out of, but he's still alive, and he stabs Hess for some reason.
Yeah.
And so then Hess has died, and
Hess, like, he falls on the ground and he's bleeding, and then Toulon appears 2 seconds later.
Yeah.
And Toulon's all sad because they've made a real connection when they were when Toulon was constantly threatening him to not fuck around. And Hess is like, "A man like you must always fight," and then he dies.
Yeah. And then doesn't it kind of cuts to six shooter. Obviously he can't look sad because he's permanently smiling. But like Jester's there too, right? And Jester kind of like nod at each other.
Yeah.
At that point.
And Six Year says,
yeah.
Really sad.
So I guess, and yeah.
What can we reveal? I mean, what happens from there?
Well, yeah.
Well, yeah,
He
so
becomes Blade.
We don't see it. but
No, we
You
don't
don't see it, and
with
it's
a little bit
implied,
of
but you're
media
also-
literacy,
You are
realize.
forgetting one important scene.
Mm-hmm.
Toulon
The
has
flashback?
donned the. Well, yeah, Toulon has donned the uniform of that guy that was killed in the street in the daylight,
Right.
so that the Nazis don't notice that the other Nazi who has a bunch of bullet holes in his uniform out of his back isn't Toulon. He makes it back to his original home that was lit on fire in the beginning of the movie,
Yeah,
or early in the movie.
which is now
And he
fine.
lays on a bench and then has a dream about the Egyptian magician and his goblin puppet.
I did get a
from
screen
Puppet
cap of the
Master 2.
Goblin Puppet.
Oh yeah,
And it's
he
just
looks so cool.
Yeah,
He is very cool.
fully stop motion. Every scene he's in, he's just kind of like sitting there bowing and stuff. But
Yeah,
But then he's Blade.
yeah, I mean, we don't see the process, but then the next Toulon goes in disguise to Krause's office, which I guess he can get into because he's dressed as a Nazi with 6 bullet holes in him.
I guess. Like Krause comes into the office and sits at his desk, and the lights are out,
Yeah.
and it's much darker than the scene where he blew out the oil lamp.
Yes.
Which is funny.
It is very
He
dark.
goes to make a phone call. There's no, like, the phone doesn't work, and he looks over, and there's Jester, and he's, like, giggling and clicking scissors together, implying that he cut the phone line.
Yeah. And
yeah, go ahead.
I was just going to say this, we meet Blade, and it's like, oh,
Mhm.
there's Hess.
I think it's weird that, Hess hated Krause, and now he's stuck in a little puppet that looks like him.
It's
It's very weird.
It's very ironic.
A little weird.
I guess there's sort of the connection between Blade and like Hess was, he did cutting on corpses, I guess, for science.
Yeah.
But
I mean, when you do, I'm sure people who are doing autopsies have hooks
sure.
for some things.
Yeah.
Sure. I don't mind. I don't mind it. If this movie was made today, you'd have Hess playing with like a knife the whole movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, he's gonna be Blade.
There was
So
kind of
they
that.
do that.
He'd pretend once to be a pirate with a hook hand.
Like there was that scene very early in the zombie situation where he was like, he should have got one of his other butchers like Mengele,
Right.
like he's not a butcher. He doesn't like it, but so Toulon has trapped Krause with all the puppets. All the puppets get a little bit of the action at this point.
It is the most brutal death scene. I haven't seen many movies of this type, but this was one of the most brutal deaths I've seen in a film. And It's pretty good. I've seen the first Saw. This is fucked up.
I didn't think it was super brutal on the face of it, but then okay, so they all fuck him up a little bit, and then ultimately Pinhead puts hooks in, all his extremities, and they
puts like one in his back, one in his hand, one somewhere else, and then one like in the back of his neck.
something.
Yeah.
The nape
It's
of
like
his neck.
they've made him a real puppet, and Toulon
Right.
he pulls him up on a rope, and he's hanging there, and this is what I was gonna say is there's blood just spraying out of his hands during this scene.
It's pretty cool.
And you think they're gonna be like, oh, they're gonna make him dance like a marionette, and they don't. It's a little disappointing in that regard.
There's like
they do something like that too.
Yeah, instead there's like a little ceremonial axe on the wall that's like 2 feet long for some reason.
It's like a
that is
normal
just
axe,
long
I don't know.
enough. I don't know. It seemed very small to me. It was just the right size for Pinhead to grab and then stick into the floor so that the weird spike on the back could be sticking up under the face of the now dangling Krause.
And they set up a set fire to the Nazi flag, which is also connected to the rope, and it burns through it.
Krause ties the rope to like the flagpole.
Toulon does, you mean?
Just
right?
burns the Nazi flag. Yeah, Toulon, sorry. And he just burns the Nazi flag. Oh yeah,
Very
we also
symbolic.
forgot when Toulon was sleeping on the bench, Peter came in and said, "I will help you, Puppet Master 3, Toulon's Revenge."
Right. That's how he wakes him up. So Krause's end, he falls on the axe.
Mm-hmm.
And Toulon, again, master of the skies. He takes Krause's clothes and his passport and escapes Germany.
Heads to America with Peter.
To Switzerland and then to America.
Switzerland, right.
Yeah.
And perhaps to America.
That's
very weird.
There's like two blonde There's German girls. She's like, "Look, mommy, toys." No, they are puppets.
She isn't even trying to put on an accent. She just sounds like an American child. And she's like, "I've never seen a boy play with dolls."
Yeah.
So weird.
And then they ask, "Did you have a good time?" He's like, "No." My wife died.
Many people's heads rolled, but I got through it with the help of some friends.
Some people,
dude, I'd be a wreck.
Right. Well, again, it's like maybe with a little tweaking on the script, Toulon could have been a real freak show. Yes, some people lost their heads, but I got through it with the help of friends. Mm-hmm. And there's like, at this point, there's like some stock footage of, it looked like something from the 70s or maybe late 60s of some Nazi train movie. Like, Christ knows there's like 1,000 of those. Yeah. Just a train getting ready to leave. And that's it. And then it fades to black, and there's a little pre-credits scene of Six Shooter just spinning his guns and putting them away.
Yeah, and the puppets will return in
Puppet Master 4 when bad puppets turn good. Yeah. Not the actual
no.
Marketed
Unfortunately,
tagline.
Not the actual subtitle.
Yeah.
It would make a great shirt, though.
Yeah. Yeah, it would. So, who do you think is the MVP on this one?
It's so hard to say because every puppet did so many things.
That's true.
Except for maybe Leech Woman, but she wasn't around for most of the deaths.
She had a lot of.
She did help with 2 of them.
She had a lot of weight, story weight.
Yeah, that's true.
She did, yeah.
Like
I think Blade is the only one that absolutely could not be MVP.
No, it's not Blade.
Yeah,
it's unfortunate, but he only like very briefly appears in the final kill where he cuts
Pinhead
Krause's leg.
He's the second. Second MVP for him.
Yeah, Pinhead did so many cool things. He fucking garroted the one guy. He ragdolled the other dude by throwing a brick at him.
Yeah, he used his wrench.
Yeah, he killed Stein with the wrench. I think every bit of Pinhead's kit is from this movie.
He's like a real scene stealer, which is crazy because I remember him the least.
Yeah.
Before we started rewatching these.
Yeah. They really...
It's got the most distinctive silhouette.
Full Moon, David Dakota would really like it to be Six Shooter. Like... Here he is.
Six Shooter was very cool.
He is front and center on the poster. He's the first and the last thing you see in the movie.
Mm-hmm.
Even though, like, the last... They just threw in this extra scene of him. But I think it's Pinhead because he's involved in everything.
He does a lot.
Like, he does so much. And he basically does the whole last kill, and he does a lot of kills in between. And he's a utility man. I think it's Pinhead.
Did you say you were a slushie?
Yeah, it's Pinhead for sure. Absolutely, 100%. I love Pinhead. He's my favorite puppet. I hope he is as cool in every movie as he was in this one.
Maybe. He's pretty cool.
Probably before we started this, I would have said he was my least favorite if I didn't actually say that already.
That
but
too.
like, because he just looks, on the surface, he's kind of like, he's just a little guy,
Yeah.
little tiny head.
Not much to him.
But like his hands look really cool. He just looks really cool, and he does a lot, actually. So
I do still really hope he gets an eye patch at some point, even for just one movie. I think seeing him with an eye patch over his Popeye eye would be very cool.
Well, if they don't do it, we will.
yeah, cowards.
Puppet Master 17.
But I mean, is there anything else? Any other notes on this?
Let's see. Did we miss anything in mine? Not really. Oh yeah, when Blade came to life, they showed a little bit of Blade coming to life, and like everyone was very happy, and Jester was clapping, and I thought that was.
Oh yeah, Jester was kind of banging their little puppet hands together, and it was kind of clicking.
Yeah.
Blade tips his hat again.
Oh yeah, Blade. When Blade shows up in front of Krause, he like flashes the knife and then does a little hat tip. Very good.
So, yeah, I think it's a pretty good movie. Like
good movie, bad horror movie.
Good movie, bad horror movie. Yeah.
It is my favorite in the series so far. Even though I think Puppet Master 7 or 5 or 8 or one of them is going to be a sleeper hit, I think Puppet Master 3 will probably remain my favorite in the series. We'll have to see.
I'm starting to feel it's going to be downhill from here.
Well, I mean, next time we talk about Puppet Master, I want to do 4 and 5 together because I'm pretty sure they're very closely tied together.
Right.
The last, I think Puppet Master 5 is called The Final Chapter. Like, I think that's its subtitle.
It is. I'm looking at the
okay. But
still on 3 and it has it at the bottom.
I'm noticing right now also Puppet Master 1, 2, and 3 came out in 89, 90, and 91.
Yep.
It's kind of crazy that they were doing one movie a year with how...
Yeah. I mean, people talk about, like, Roger Corman doing 50 movies a year or whatever. Like, certainly Charles Band was not that far behind because, like, at least a dozen a year. He wasn't just doing Puppet Master. He was doing, like, as you see on any videos.
Yeah.
Doll Man.
One of our 15 films in production here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hard worker. Yeah, I don't know. I think, like, objectively, as much as possible, like, not a great movie, but it has so much charm. I don't know. Like any Puppet Master.
I was entertained the whole time. I wasn't like, this is dragging or I want to turn this off, so it's a plus.
Yeah, it was...
Yeah, not really any pace.
It was very... I was very enraptured throughout the entire film. And again, I'm a huge sucker for period pieces in general. We keep seeing in the Video Zones trailers for A Pit in the Pendulum, and I want to see that so fucking bad.
Yeah, I do.
I'm glad you like the period piece. I think they go back to Nazi Germany like 3 or 4 more times.
Yeah.
Good.
I do want to note, like, the poster does kind of sell a bill of goods on this background here with like it sort of implies Berlin is going to be getting bombed during the movie. That would have been cool. Just another cool thing for the setting.
Yeah. Also, the poster says when good puppets go bad, and then it's going to be when bad puppets go good for 4. But the puppets are already good in this one. They don't go bad.
Right.
What are they talking about?
I think it's just like they are puppets in a puppet show, and then they do killing.
Yeah.
I guess they're killing Nazis.
The morality of the killing is not really discussed. Just that they are doing killing, and
so they don't kill anyone.
Any killing can be seen as bad, depending on who is looking at it.
They better kill people in Puppet Master 4.
They better. They better.
One more thing from the IMDb page for this movie.
Yeah.
Under the goofs section.
That's
in the first Puppet Master, part of the legend of Toulon is that he committed suicide in 1939. This movie takes place in 1941, and he is still very much alive.
Right.
This should have been set in 1938.
That's funny. I was looking at like Puppet Master timeline, or I think just the list of Puppet Master movies on Wikipedia then has a separate timeline section, and like there's in the column of like year it takes place in, so many of them are like 1941 says in movie 1939.
Right.
like they just had to do all these little corrections. There's like six
when Link
of them.
Fails to save Zelda.
Right. Yeah.
There's the dark timeline. When Toulon doesn't make Blade, everything's set in 1938. I guess we'll see if Leech Woman and Blade are in those other ones that are set earlier.
Yeah, I don't remember in the... Well...
It's like he makes Blade and ditches the country, so...
Well... You know... Is continuity really known for being a very highly kept thing in horror films in general?
No.
I certainly don't care. No. Absolutely not.
I think it'll be fine.
Yeah. So, just the other thing, we also watched Shin Ultraman this week, and I just wanted to see if anyone had anything to say about it.
What a fucking good movie. I wish there were any miniatures at all.
You've seen this before, right, Count?
I had seen it, and I rewatched it with both of you, and who else was in there? I think it's great. I don't want to spoil anything, but like it's good. It's like a good recap of and tribute to Ultra Q in the beginning, and then a good little condensed version of Ultraman.
One thing that like was very clear with Shin Godzilla is Hideki Anno is a fucking fanboy for this shit.
Did he also do Shin Godzilla?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
He did
but he's
Godzilla,
not doing Shin Kamen Rider. Or is he?
Is he not?
I think he is.
I don't know.
He is.
Oh,
yeah.
shit. Wow.
Or at least producing.
Okay. Huh.
Yeah, written and directed by Hideki Anno.
I wanted to say I didn't think I really cared that much about that guy. But I'm not crazy about Ava. I don't love Ava. Ava's like fine to me.
I agree.
MDC Chris in the chat asking what Shin means. Well, that's a great question. Shin means like true or real, or like, you know, the real one. Like this is the real Ultraman. the real shit. Yeah.
So like when you see when you see Shin Akuma 2 in Mortal Kombat vs Street Fighter, you know that's the real Akuma.
Yes.
Right.
So I haven't seen Shin Godzilla, but okay, that's interesting that he does them all.
I'm shocked that you haven't. It's very, very good.
Well, we'll watch it. No, I didn't think I cared that much for Anno because I don't love Evangelion, but I looked him up and he apparently was responsible for animating the God Warrior in Nausicaa, which is like it is my favorite movie. So, and he worked on.
I can tell from your YouTube recommendations after Doki 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 Do It, that was the theme always being recommended to me.
That's weird.
I'm serious about that. I don't know why, but it was.
Yeah. I mean, obviously a talented director because this was very good. Like me and Slushy sort of did a digest watch of Ultraman this past year, right?
Mm-hmm.
I just kind of like I remember watching the Ultraman series and not loving the show, which
Well, it's very samey.
it is very samey, and there's a lot of episodes. So, but when me and Slushy watched it, I just tried to pick out episodes that I remembered liking the most, and I thought it was really good. So that was pleasant.
Yeah, I haven't seen all of it, but I started watching it, and then was like, oh my god. So then I did kind of pick and choose at what sounded interesting, and I like it.
Yeah, I think, like Mortis said, we just picked and chose specific episodes. He did, and I watched them because I didn't know anything about any of them. But what we watched of the original Ultraman was very good. But I think we then watched the fucking 80s dub of Ultra 7.
Yeah.
And
that I gotta watch.
That's
I haven't
on.
watched any of
That's
that.
on Archive.
Oh my god, that show was so fucking good.
Yeah, Ultra 7 I think is a huge, on a series level, is like a huge improvement over Ultraman.
Yeah, and I will tie this into Shin Ultraman, but in the original series and in Ultra 7, the miniature work is legitimately, to me, mind-blowing. Like, I know that it's considered low budget. I know that better miniature work has been done. I mean, I love the Lord of the Rings movies. There's who knows how many fucking miniatures in those, but the way they are used, the way they do shit in Ultra 7 with, like, all of the... I forget the name of any vehicle in that series, but, like...
The pointer is the car.
The pointer is the car. What is the plane?
I want to say Ultra Dart, but I think that's from Ultraman. I don't know.
Ultra 7 plane. The plane hangar.
The plane that splits into three parts you're talking about? Ultra Hawk.
Yeah. Like, when it's inconsistent how often they show it when they're launching the plane. They have footage of a plane hangar, and they're, like, in an elevator going down behind a grating, and it's like, it's all miniatures, and it looks so good and so real. And the fact that they did, it certainly seemed like no miniature work at all in Shin Ultraman.
Yeah, fully CG.
Maybe it's just...
Seemed fully, like, looked fully CG.
Yeah, that's the thing, is like, they didn't even do... They did a very good job of making the monsters move like they were people in costumes.
I think they did and they didn't.
Yeah, it's really... It depends on the monster.
It's meant to be a fresh take, though, so I understand why no miniatures, even though I also love them.
Yeah, I don't think it's necessarily a knock to the film in an objective standpoint. It's just something about it that I personally didn't like very much.
Yeah.
Was that it was all CG. The storytelling in it, the characters, the writing itself, you know, every scene and all that. It was a fantastically made movie that was incredibly fun to watch. I just wish it had all been practical, but that's movies nowadays.
I think you know, I love Godzilla movies. One of my favorite things in the universe is Godzilla. I also hate most Godzilla movies because the pacing on them is so ungodly bad, and it's so boring when it's not Godzilla, and it's almost never Godzilla. And, like, you know, and I feel like a lot of Japanese movies are sort of, they tend to have a languid pacing. Maybe that's not fair, but this movie was like, it was like, I don't know, 5 episodes of Ultraman. It was like 5 good episodes of the Ultraman show in, like, super fast forward.
So the pacing was great.
The pacing was great. And the
It kept going.
It was not stop.
the shots, the shots were all good. One problem maybe in this regard is like maybe the camera was jumping around a little too much. Like any given conversation was like, here's a low angle, here's a Dutch angle over here, here's an angle from the other side of the room. You know, it's like almost too fast.
I think it's just his style because it's kind of the same way in Shin Godzilla.
Yeah. Is there any miniatures in Shin Godzilla, or is that all CG?
I think it's all CG.
It's probably all CG. I don't remember. We do need to watch that soon. I think I still have a DVD.
Shin Ultraman just hits the ground running though with that recap of Ultra Q in the beginning, and then there's no
so
BS
cool.
of like Ultraman coming down and talking to the guy and all that crap. It just all happens.
Yeah. And I on the note of the recap of Ultra Q, like the movie starts and it's like there was a kaiju, there was another kaiju, there was another kaiju, and it's I figured out, 10 seconds into it, oh, this is Ultra Q, which is the show before Ultraman that was kind of like X-Files with kaiju.
Right.
I love Ultra Q.
I haven't seen any of it. I probably should.
It's on Tubi.
Yeah, for now.
Yeah, and high definition. It looks. I've never saw that crisp before. Really good.
I'll get back to that, I guess. But I think the song that's playing at that point is like an arrangement of the Ultra Q theme, right? During that part.
Yes.
And the score in this movie, for the most part, is really good because it's all super reminiscent of the original shows. None of it's not like so really like I would expect just bland, like Bear McCreary orchestra bullshit, right? But it's like jazzy, cool, retro stuff. It's really good. But on that note, towards the end of the movie, there starts to be a little like dubstep. It's a little like, it's not super bad, but
I don't even remember the dubstep, even though we just watched it. But I remember enjoying the music throughout. All the characters are pretty good. There's like a small cat. We haven't really. I mean, you don't want to get into spoilers, but it has like a small team of misfits in a way, and they're all working together to solve the kaiju problem.
Yeah. They all sort of have
the weirdness.
Like this lady right here is, she gets the most attention and the most character.
Keeps grabbing her butt.
She keeps grabbing her butt.
Grab her butt.
She grabs other people's butts. The original Ultraman series had Ide, I think his name is, which kind of like the comic relief member. There wasn't really Ide is so good. He rules so much.
I've always thought that he's like Japanese Jim Carrey.
I kind of see that.
Yeah.
He has kind of the goofy face and postures and stuff.
Yeah.
There's not really any kind of attempt even to have an equivalent to that.
No, there's no goofy comedic sidekick really.
Do you think the grab butt lady is kind of meant to be that a little bit?
She's certainly the funniest character, and also the.
'Cause she's like,
I don't know.
Yeah, like, because she's the reason that her and the other character keep saying buddy in English, and she's like,
right, yeah, she has that tick.
She's
there's
funny,
that
but
part
like
where she's all over social media and she's very upset, and then she suddenly isn't, and she like stands up and cheers.
She's very competent though.
Well, so is Ide.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
He like invents stuff, but
She seems more like an equal partner, and
Sorry.
these are good.
Looking
these are
at a
good
picture of
photos.
Ide and Paul
Yeah.
just various
Paul
shots
Dan.
of Ide. Yeah, I what I wanted to say, Pupper, on the HD thing is like the dub of Ultra 7 that we watched is, it's like VHS off a 40-year-old TV broadcast, right?
Right.
But then,
Yeah.
like, occasionally, there would be times when there's a really obvious cut. Like, they couldn't show Ultra 7 beheading a
like-
monster.
When he's like laying on top of the one monster and he slices its throat and then
Yeah.
it sprays its yellow blood all over his face and it just sits there for like 10 fucking seconds while he's getting coated in blood. They didn't show that.
So, like, in instances where there was a weird cut, we would go over to Tubi and watch the Japanese Ultra 7 of that
I think
part.
about that. I think about that scene all the time. It was so fucking cool.
But it's
I like
it looks
how
really
he
good.
He just kills everything.
The HD of Ultra 7 is, it looks incredible. But yeah, Shin Ultraman, I would say I was pleasantly surprised, and I do recommend it
I recommend it as well.
to an Ultraman fan. Some of the CG, like, I think towards the end, especially, like, the fights started to look a little bit like PlayStation 2 cutscenes in terms of, like, the way guys were moving, you know?
Yeah.
But that's just, like, the reality of...
It adds to the charm. It's kind of makes it even more like an Ultraman show.
Oh, was it Giron? Yeah, I forgot it was Giron that got
Here's a GIF of it if you want to put a GIF up on the stream.
It's not...
Oh yeah, he's bleeding.
That doesn't seem to be loading. Giron, one of the great
Loading.
episodes
Yeah, fantastic episode.
of Ultra 7, but...
So is Ultra 7 its whole worth watching, like every episode?
Oh yes.
I think
Okay.
almost every episode. There was like 2. I kind of rated them on IMDb as I was going through, and there was a couple that I probably would skip on rewatch, but 90% of the episodes are really good.
I've had 2 of the American Ultraman episodes downloaded. One has Jeffrey Combs, and I've been waiting to like stream or watch that.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah, that's Powered, right?
I believe so.
Yeah, I don't
I will
remember
say-
why I saw that, but I was very surprised that Jeffrey Combs is in an Ultraman.
I will say very briefly, no matter which version of Ultra 7 you watch, sub or dub, you need to watch the rally episode dub.
Yeah,
When's that? Like early on, or
it's fairly
Yeah.
late.
It's-
It's kind of
Okay.
middle late.
Yeah.
I probably won't get to it anytime soon as far as Ultra 7 goes, but
Yeah,
I
but
do want to watch
Frankly, you can watch just the rally episode by itself. If I'm
it.
honest.
You can probably watch any of them by themselves.
What was it TNT that it aired on? Did we decide? I don't remember.
Yeah, the dub was recorded in like the 80s and then never aired. And then TNT picked it up and like aired it in the mid 90s.
So it's like Dynaman.
Yes, similar
Yes,
situation.
Very much.
Actually, feel free to DM me that one. Like the
Sure thing.
Okay,
the MP4
but it
archive or
it
whatever.
came on at like 5 or 6 a.m. on weekday mornings, and like sometimes I'd wake up and watch it, but more often I would set the VCR and then watch it back while eating Cinnamon Rice Krispies
That sounds
in the
amazing.
morning. And I have watched the dub of the rally episode on tape like more than probably any episode of anything.
It is.
It is one of my formative life things.
I'll be watching that.
I am getting the link for it right now. Is it Death on Wheels? Is that the
I
one?
think it's Death on Wheels, yeah.
Episode 28.
But anyway,
that's-
Shin Ultraman, good movie. And
When you Google Ultra 7 dub, the archive link of all 45 episodes, first thing that comes up.
like there's, I want to say like 2 episodes didn't get dubbed at all or are not in that rip.
Something like that, yeah.
And they're pretty, it's like episode 4 and 5 or something, like it's pretty early on.
Yeah, this right here, it skips from episode 4 to episode 8. So 5, 6,
Okay.
and 7 either didn't get dubbed or just aren't in here.
But Ultraman.
But then if you really want to watch them, go watch the original on Tubi.
Yeah, Ultra 7.
Or Pluto
Gotcha.
TV, you know.
Good stuff. We love it. So any other remarks?
Here's my question.
Mhm.
I think Shin Kamen Rider has come out in Japan.
Only just, yeah. Pretty recently.
Yeah, and it's airing here in the U.S. in select theaters in May. Please go watch it if you like Kamen Rider. I assume it's good. I've heard great things about it from people who have seen it already. If he makes another one, another Shin whatever, what do you want it to be?
Shin Zubat.
That would be so cool.
I can't even imagine what that would be. That would be, Shin
That's what I
Zubat or
want, too.
The Metal Heroes.
Shin Zubat or Shin Akumizer 3 is my vote. Have you seen
Shinji
Akumizer
Ban.
3? Count?
Have I what?
Have you seen Akumizer 3?
No, I have not.
Oh man. I've only seen a little, but it's like 3, they're demons. And
Ooh.
Sounds cool.
they're good demons and they're fighting bad demons, and they have a flying pirate ship that transforms into like a different flying pirate ship. It's just a good,
I feel like I've seen them show up in like one of the Sentai movies or something.
probably.
Like-
Can we watch that?
The show?
Is he made of
Yeah.
poop?
I don't think it's been fully subbed. Like, I don't know. Yeah, the strong guy of Akumizer 3, he looks like he has a poop for a head. So,
His poop head.
oh, and much like Puppet Master, they do change their heads between shots for like different emotions. So
That's pretty great.
it's cool.
I forgot to mention that the grumpy old guy in Shin Ultraman is the main Kamen Rider in Kamen Rider Black Sun. So check that out, everyone. He's like a 50-year-old Kamen Rider, and he's really bitchy and grumpy, and it's really gory and a good show.
We got to watch that too. Or
I think it's
gotta
only
watch
12
it.
episodes.
That's not. Oh, I didn't know it was a series. I thought it was like either a much shorter series or a movie. Huh.
It's like a little mini series.
Okay.
Well, is Giant Robo The Day the Earth Stood Still the one that we watched?
Yes.
Okay, Hidekiano worked on that also.
Makes sense. Sleeping on a talented guy just because he's often behind the scenes, I guess.
Yeah.
But
I mean,
I did the same thing. So
It's understandable because, like, he became known, like, very widely because of Ava, and it's totally understandable to not enjoy Ava very much. It's a weird
it's not
show.
fun.
it's only.
I mean,
a
that's
little
kind of the
fun.
point.
Well, I like
kind
fun
of
in
the
my
point is that
Mecha
it's not
Monster
fun.
shit.
As I mean, I don't even really think of it as Mecha Monster shit. I just kind of think of it as like
Depressed- I mean, it is
teen boy psychology show. And as far as
Yeah.
as that
that's
goes,
really-
I'd rather just watch FLCL.
Right. I agree.
That's fair.
It's weird that I
Which-
do like FLCL.
Which
but
he
not
also worked on.
Evangelion.
Did he work on it?
Yes.
Wow. Okay.
Whatever.
He was also
Mortis
the
and I
voice
just
of
don't know.
Mew
We
Mew.
just
In it. But yeah, he worked at Gynex, so he worked on a lot of popular Gynex stuff.
Yeah. But next time you see us, we'll be talking about Puppet Master 4 and 5.
hell yeah. Shout out to the Puppet Master community who has found us, and we appreciate you. We love you. I hope you continue to listen. Get us Charlie Sprodling as a guest, please.
Oh, that would be so good.
Yeah, what did you say? We found out Charlie Spradling, the lady from 2 that we all are in love with. She
Yeah.
sells salads.
Yeah, Stacked Sally LLC. They sell organic, gluten-free salads.
I would freeze
And
up.
she's apparently been running that for like a decade.
But I'd talk to her about Puppet Master or just being a full moon advertiser or her salads. Anything she wants to talk about.
I would also freeze up. So if you if you want to,
Oh, I'm not going to freeze up. I'll talk to her.
Yeah, if you want to interview her in like a pre-recorded segment that we can then play on the podcast.
All right, well, someone has to put me in touch with her, and then I can do that.
Yeah, I guess October Games may be aware of the podcast. I don't know.
It's true. I have talked to Kevin Bacon once.
What?
We love you, Puppet Master community. We love you, Kevin Bacon.
We do. We love you, Kevin Bacon. We love you, Puppet Master community.
Kevin Bacon's not dead, is he? That would be embarrassing.
No.
Kevin Bacon was in the first Friday 13th, but no Puppet Master.
Well,
he was also in Tremors. We should watch Tremors at some point. All of them.
Sure.
There's
I
like
don't,
seven,
I don't know about all.
I don't know about all of them, but at least the first one.
I mean, if we're gonna watch all the Puppet Masters, you guys keep saying they're fucking terrible. I'm sure at some point we can watch other terrible movies.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Anything's possible. Does anyone have anything else to say? Before I wrap?
I don't know. I think I will say we mentioned Pumpkin Hill. What are they called?
What?
What's the
October Games? Pumpkin Hill.
Yeah.
We were doing a stream
October
of
Games.
the Puppet Master game, and one of the devs came in, and then I got a raid from somebody. He's like, keeping it inside the Puppet Master community. So cool guys, Puppet Master community.
I think October Games is doing great with the game, the Puppet Master game. I think that it's all uphill from here. Hopefully, we are going to keep playing that game. Almost definitely.
It is a lot of fun.
We need to find other Puppet Master fans who are cool for when they add the 8-player mode in July.
Yeah. I have my theory on that is it's going to be what we see happen in 4 and 5 is the thesis of the 8-player mode.
Oh, like Puppet versus Puppet.
Yeah.
Essentially.
Yeah, they did say on that roadmap, did say that they were adding the totem puppets or whatever they're called. So, yeah, you're probably right.
And there is another mysterious faction. Could be demonic toys, as Cyraptor has said. Who knows? Up in the air. But I guess until next time.
Thanks for listening or watching. Both.
Yeah, thank you, everybody.
Yeah.
I was Slushie.
You still are.
Yeah.
I am Count.
And I'm Ex Mortis. And this has been Remove Film from Trey.